Welcome back, Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have an exciting one for y'all. Is the Spartan Blades Harsey folder. Now, this is a full-size Harsey, and it comes in at $525 for this special edition version with the engraved St. Michael's with the blue anodization in there, and it also has the Defend Us in Battle. This is a particular variation I wanted. You can get a plain Jane stonewash blade, stonewash titanium for $460. And on my particular one, you also have the brushed satin on the titanium as well, which I think is a nice touch, and the anodized thumb studs. Let's get the specs out of the way so anybody who hasn't seen this knife before has an idea of how big this knife is. You have a total length of 8.94 inches, so it's going to be in that large size EDC range. A blade length of 4 inches. A grip area from right here to the back right here of 4¼ inches. Handle thickness from here to here of 0.56 inches. Close width in the pocket from here to here of 1.40 inches. A pretty stout blade stock thickness of 0.154 inches. And the behind the edge thickness on my particular knife is around 22 thousandths, sharpened at 18 degrees per side. All right, before we go any further, we're going to break off some cutting footage. And y'all definitely want to check this out because after using this knife, it changed my opinion. So y'all stay tuned. All right, we're going to test the factory sharpness. Nice and very, very sharp. Alrighty, it sliced very well because it's super sharp. Still nice and sharp. Alright, we're going to do a little wood shaving into this pine 2x4 to check the edge, see how well it's biting, and the ergonomics. Alrighty. Alright, I noticed some pretty major hot spots. I'm guessing this is made for gloves, but all these ridges on the jimping here, all the ridges on the jimping here were very uncomfortable when doing these type of pressure cuts. And I can imagine, you know, cutting through some thick rubber and stuff. Yeah, that would not be the most comfortable. Like I said, I'm sure it's made more for gloves, but using it as an EDC. Very sharp. Alright, we're going to try to cut up several different types of materials. 2 dense tubing. This one's 1 inch. This one's 1/2 inch. Some thick saddle leather. Some rubber gasket material. Some rolled up blue jean denim. And some 3/8 bungee. And some nylon webbing. Get started with the leather first. All right, it sliced through everything pretty darn good, especially through the denim. It really breezed through that. Let's see how this edge is doing right now. You might have a minor catch up, but I'd say it's still really good. Yep. Alright, we're going to cut up some of this 1/2 inch twisted sisal rope. I'm going to aim for 20. Might get more, might get a little less on my count. All right, I ended up making 30 cuts because it was cutting really nicely, and I had gloves on so this wasn't tearing up my hands. Yeah, still nice and sharp. All right, now we're going to try to get through this cable with 3 copper wires in it using a rubber mallet. I don't see any edge damage. Let's feel. Still feels sharp. Very nice. Alright, we're going to do a little edge impact testing on this aluminum bar stock. We're going to try to hit it in this area toward the front of the knife. Oh yeah, I got that one good. Nice deep. And looks like it's fine. Let's see. Absolutely no problem. Very nice. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I know I did, and I was rather impressed. So the Harsey folder, it's been reviewed tons of times. This particular one is a newer version in S45vn, and as you can see in the test, this thing did absolutely amazing. Probably one of the better knives I've tested in the conception of this channel. I first saw this design back in the day when I first got into the hobby, coming from Lone Wolf Knives. This is the Harsey T2, and this is a Bill Harsey design, William Harsey, and it's pretty much the same design. It's the same length. Of course, they changed a few things, like this one has a full flat on it, S30V steel, because it was back in the day, and then back in the day you had this cool tip down only pocket clip, but a lot of the things are similar, and for good reason. William Harsey is a well-renowned knife maker, and he's made designs for special ops and all kinds of active duty military, and he's definitely known for making a good folder. He's made some fixed blade designs, and I think maybe the Impenda for Chris Reeve Knives, and several other people as well. Here's the small Talos, which I'm guessing is about the same as the small Harsey folder. Both of these, all these are William Harsey designs. So let's take a closer look at this knife. You just have this beautiful classic drop point blade, mid-height flat grind, and an absolutely stunning, my camera's not going to do it justice, but a stunning reflective stonewash finish on there. I love this finish. You got a nice top swedge that tapers that tip down, so you actually have a tip while still leaving you some meat behind there, so it's not going to be fragile. You have S45vn and USA written on this side. The Spartan logo right there, Spartan Blades logo. I think it's super cool. On this side, you have William Harsey's signature. You have dual titanium thumb studs that are pretty darn comfortable. You do have jimping up here, but being that it's wide spaced and the chamfers around the side, it's probably medium traction on the top right there, which is fine with me. I don't really like jimping too much, especially with these hands. Let's close it up. You have probably one of the smoothest hydraulic style actions I've ever felt on a knife, and I'm glad I'm able to experience this. And the only reason I am is because when I first got this knife, it just wasn't feeling right. It was very stiff. It wasn't breaking in. Everybody said it was going to break in. It just was not breaking in. I opened it probably over 1,000 times, and I ended up sending the knife into them because I reached out to them. They said, "Send it in. We'll take care of you." Super awesome customer service. They told me to send it in, and they would have the same day return time for me to get it taken care of. And it was back to me in the matter of no time. I don't know exactly what they did because they didn't state. It just came in a box. So if I had to take a guess, maybe either did something to the washers or put new ones in or something, because what was happening is if I wanted it smooth like it is right now, it would be way off centered. If I centered it up, I could barely open the blade. So super happy that problem was resolved. Like I said, A100 customer service. I've dealt with their customer service twice. Once for the Talos, and the second time with this, and both of them were just an excellent experience. That's all I can say. The reason why it's got such a beautiful action is because you have this ginormous phosphor bronze washer, or whatever they call it. The washer right there is huge, so you got a lot of surface area for that blade to ride on. And you even have a decent sized one on this side. It's just not as big because it's on the lock side. I can flip it out, and let's see, I don't think I can spidey flick it. Oh yeah, I can. That was something I couldn't do before, but I know this knife is not intended for that stuff. I know this knife is intended for, people in the Army, in the Marines, in the SEALs, Green Berets. I understand that. But in this configuration, I don't think any of them would have this on it. So I'm gonna look at it in an EDC standpoint, because I would say this particular version of this is definitely geared into that direction. And close it up. You have this beautiful titanium frame, like I said, with that brushed finish. One other awesome thing is all the hardware, the pivot, these two body screws, that screw, and the clip screw, all of it's titanium. The only thing that's not titanium is the stop pin and the pivot barrel. Awesome, because I know some other company that I have a lot of their knives, they charge you an arm and a leg for titanium parts. So that's cool. Also, they give you being that they do have the plate right here for the left-handed carry, they give you the little logo in there, so it's nice, and mine's got that blue anodizing on it. Very cool. Very good hardware. I think it's, let's see, I think the body's definitely T8 back here. Let's see, T8, and look at that, no wiggle whatsoever. Some of the best hardware I've felt on a knife, and I've taken apart hundreds and hundreds of knives. This one's bigger. I can't recall what it is offhand, but it's bigger than a T8, which is awesome. You have jimping up here on the top, jimping up here on the bottom. So, if you're wearing a glove, it's definitely going to, hold on to your hands. You shouldn't have a problem with that. You do have indentions on both sides of the frame, and that is for getting to that thumb stud as a right-handed opener, and getting to that stud as a left-handed opener as well. Lockup is around I'd say 60%. It doesn't have an insert, but it doesn't need it. It does not need it because it has a carbidized lock face, which is tungsten carbide basically welded to the face of this insert. And I'm sure whenever that starts wearing out, you can send it in, they'd redo it for you. The over travel is being executed by the backside of this pivot. As you can see, it catches it just enough to where you can't overextend that lock bar. Centering is dead perfect. Titanium pocket clip, and I'm pretty sure those, let's see, I don't want to say it. Yep, T8 as well, and they're titanium as well. You get it's an arrow on there. Let's open it up. The lockup on this is, after all that testing and beating on it with a mallet and all that stuff, absolutely no play left or right, up or down whatsoever. I mean, this thing is a bank vault. And one thing I will iterate, just in case I didn't put it in the video, when y'all see me beating on the top of this with a mallet, just know that if you do that with your knife, it's probably going to void your warranty. I understand that going into it, and I'm okay with that. So just know, if you're going to do that, expect your warranty to be void. Let's see, what else? Let's get a weight on this real quick. We'll do some size comparisons and then give you some of my nitpicks and complaints. First, we'll go in grams. 170 grams. And this particular version is 6 ounces. Let me check that. Let me check that on another one. Let's see. Making sure that's the same. Yep, 6 ounces. So I saw one of the sites, it said 5.8, something like that. Not a big deal, but I have 2 scales that read 6 ounces. And that is because there's absolutely no internal milling. Another thing that I love to see that they did excellent on is you don't see a lock bar cut out on this side because they put it on the inside. Excellent job. This is, intended as a hard use knife, and they've pretty much nailed all the areas where you want to put strength. You have a big beefy pivot. You have a pretty good size stop pin right here, and where the blade contacts that stop pin, you can see how it's got that dish right there. That's so whenever that blade, so blade's not just hitting that like that flat surface on a round surface, and that would just peen that middle spot. It's taking that surface area and wrapping it around like that on the stop pin. So that's why they're doing that right there. That's another reason, that keeps it as a strong, secure lockup. Then you have these big old the wide barrel standoffs that are creating that side to side rigidity. So they nailed all those areas perfectly, and the knife did amazing. Like I said, y'all watch the test, or if you didn't, you definitely want to go back and watch it because this knife did awesome. Some size comparisons to some comparable knives. You have the Hinder XM18 Bowie. So as you can see, the XM18 is a 3.5 inch. It's going to be shorter because this is a 4-inch blade. And the Chris Reeves large Sabenza 21. And once again, it's going to be shorter than this because it's not the same size blade. That was the stupidest thing I've ever said. Okay. Let's see what else we have. 2 other comparable in this price range. You have the Les George VECP that I just did the unboxing for, and the Strider SNG. All these, I'm sure this it would be closer. The SMF would be closer to this, and I'm sure the XM24 would be closer to that as well. And then 2 more really common folders. You have the Ontario Rat 1, which is very close in size. It's just a little bit shorter. And then the Rat 2 is going to be dwarfed by that. So there you go. All right, nitpicks, complaints. Of course, the edge termination, it's just unsightly for me. Because when I start sharpening this, you're going to slowly get a recurve. I know I saw Jim Skelton talk about that's a way to do it. And if you know what you're doing, you're not going to get a recurve. I don't know how unless you have a belt grinder, because this gets thicker, or you'll have a really wide bevel back here. It's just not aesthetically pleasing. Is it hurting the functionality? Absolutely not. So it's not that big of a deal. Let's close it up. What else? The jimping. Like I said, I understand this isn't really what, the intended purpose is not for EDC hands, but I did notice when I was cutting the rope and when I was cutting the wood that this bottom jimping, especially like right here on the sides, is kind of sharp, and the top, whenever I was doing the pushing on the rope, it was pretty uncomfortable. Enough to where I did put a glove on. Once I put a glove on, it's totally fine. But your average day-to-day task, breaking down boxes, cutting up a little bit of rope, thicker rope, cutting some plastic, those type of things that you're not putting a lot of pressure down, it'll be just fine. Let's see. The weight, it is pretty heavy at 6 ounces. I think it'd been nice if, if they're trying to gear this toward an EDC market, do some internal milling. That would lighten it up and that would make it easier to carry. As it stands, it's not bad. Another thing that is just kind of aesthetic thing is the ginormous lock bar cutout. It just makes it look cheap. On a lot of cheap knives, you see that. I mean, the XM18, see that? You barely see that on here. The Chris Reeve Sabenza, this one even looks wider than it is because it has these deep bevels on both sides. The S&G, let's see. There you go. So that's another thing, not hurting the functionality, just an aesthetic thing. So overall though, I like the knife. It surprised me. It performed amazing. The action's awesome. It looks nice. It's comfortable for normal day-to-day tasks. I think it's a winner. It is expensive. I understand that, but it's a more, niched market. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolutely wonderful day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.